So as I said in my last review, I was going to talk about Broadway adaptations from Disney animation. And so let's start with our first installment, that fairy tale, that beloved classic, as tale as old as time, Beauty and the Beast.
Yes, Beauty and the Beast is certainly an important film for Disney, as well as animation as a whole, really. Along with The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast helped bring back the popularity from their bad years since Walt Disney had passed away. Not only did it do well at the box office, but it won critical praise and was the first animated feature that was nominated for Best Picture. Not only that, but when it was shown at the New York Film Festival, it was an unfinished rough cut with pencil sketches and storyboards, and yet
a standing ovation. So yeah, this film means a lot to Disney, as well as animation in general. Some critics even called it the Snow White of the 90s.
In fact, the New York Times critic Frank Rich described the movie as a better musical than anything on Broadway in 1991. This could have been a slight encouragement for Disney to believe their movies could work as a Broadway adaptation, and so Beauty and the Beast came first in 1994.
Now, of course, changes would need to be made, as a stage is a lot more limited than the medium of animation where, well, anything is possible.
Luckily, when developing changes, screenwriter Linda Wolverton contributed with the project and tried to find ways to expand the characterization of the main characters and how to make the inanimate servants work for the stage. As far as the music was concerned, Alan Menken returned to write additional songs such as Home and If I Can't Love Her, with lyrics written by Tim Rice, as well as using a song that was removed from the movie he worked with Howard Ashman, called Human Again, that can now be viewed on the special edition DVD.
Along with the unfinished rough cut, and seriously, it is really worth checking out, especially if you love the medium of animation. But let's have a look at these changes, shall we?
As far as the Disney fairy tale adaptations, Belle and the Beast are well-established characters, as well as the best romance, even better than the modern Disney movies nowadays. Belle is an outcast in her own town, but has a close relationship with her father, loves reading, and it takes her away from her mundane life she lives, and pretty much believes in the best of humanity. In the Broadway version, she has all of this, but as well as dreaming of something more, she also dreams of finding a place that she can call home, with, much like the movie, happens to be in the last place she would think to look. Susan Egan, who portrayed her in the Broadway show, also made her a little more quirky to make her seem more different compared to the townsfolk, but still keeping the spirit of her movie counterpart. The Beast, on the other hand, was given his own solo in If I Can't Love Her, which added to the tragedy of the character, believing there is no hope for the curse to be lifted. However, he was made more comical, which to some could be seen as good or bad. I mean, the Beast in the movie was certainly funny at moments, but they focused more on the change, i.e. his transformation, when Belle enters the castle.
For me personally, the humour from the Beast can go a little bit too far, but hey, I'll give them credit. At least it's funny. It's just that I preferred the more of the tragic, animalistic nature that's in the movie. But at least the stage one, it is pretty funny.
However, their romance is still as good as the movie, as well as an additional scene that would probably be my favourite moment in the show. This is when the Beast shows Belle the library and she reads to him King Arthur, and he states how books can take him away from the world, and Belle tells him how the town thinks that she's odd. Not only does this show a similarity of how they love to escape from their own worlds, but also about how they're misrepresented despite how their appearances are. Polar opposites, but the same feeling of loneliness, and is understood by both.
But what about the servants? Those beloved supporting characters, Lumiere, Cogsworth, Mrs. Potts, Chip. How can you make them as real as you can on stage? Well, let's take a look.
Well, with great costumes and effects, of course, but Wolverton had the idea of the servants slowly turning into these objects as the show progresses, where more costume is added, and would also give the audience the sense of time passing while Belle had stayed with them in the castle. I thought this was a good idea, not only showing comedy of how taxing the curse is on the servants, but also how they're frightened and their fear of never being human again. Speaking of costumes and design, I love the tone the whole show creates. It's like Phantom of the Opera meets Disney. There's like a rich darkness, but there's also the sense of wonder and magic. The set of the castle has a lot of cold colours, but it's offset by candles and stars, and one of my favourite features is the rose, as it's constantly not only showing the symbol of the whole thing, but the sense of time running out for the curse to be lifted. I also liked that they had the same contrast between the castle and the town, where the town had a lot of warm colours but seemed a bit more washed up. But what makes up for it is the choreography from the townsfolk, particularly in the Gaston number. With the amount of timing and use of props, they took the advantage, especially as the servants in the castle were very restricted with their costumes.
Beauty and the Beast is a really good example on how to adapt from animation to a live stage production, and yet can still deliver the magic that Disney can bring. And that's only the beginning of my Disney on Broadway adaptations, and this time I might have a look at one of the longest running musicals in musical history. And yes, I think you guys know which one I'm talking about. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.